Welcome to Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation possible. You will get to hear from CSIA system integrators and industry partners to get a better understanding of how they help their clients solve process challenges and how they've earned success in their careers. Along the way, we will touch on system integration best practices, technology, trends, and challenges. Whether you are a manufacturer, end user, supplier, or system integrator, you will enjoy the insights these industry professionals bring to this podcast. Let's get started. Hi, my name is Lisa Richter, the host of Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation and processing possible. In today's episode, we're talking industrial automation with Julie Gaier, a content marketing specialist with TRG Marketing, where she helps clients cultivate strong media relationships and generate awareness for their companies, products, and services. She is also an Emmy Award-winning television reporter who has a knack for pulling interesting stories out of people and businesses. Whether it's through print, radio, web, or television, Julie helps TRG clients get their messages across to target audiences and prospective customers, including CSA members, because Julie works with CSIA to uncover media opportunities in the trade press. She also serves on the CSA's marketing committee. Julie, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
So I introduced you as an Emmy Award-winning journalist. Can you expand on that? Where did you work? What kind of stories did you cover? Stuff like that.
Well, I spent about 20 years in television news, and 16 of those were as a general assignment reporter. I worked mostly in the Midwest. Duluth, Minnesota is where I started out. I was in Jefferson City, Missouri, covered a lot of state capitol news there. Green Bay, Wisconsin, and yes, there were a lot of Packers fans, Packers news there. And then St. Louis, where I spent the majority of my career. And when you're general assignment, you pretty much cover everything. There was crime, of course, to report on, investigative pieces. President would come to town. One of my favorites was Mikhail and Riza Gorbachev visiting from the former Soviet Union. Covered Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire in the Major League Baseball home run race, the NHL and NFL playoffs, and not to mention just these great everyday stories about human nature, about people, incredible people, and the communities where they live. You're really a utility player when you're a general assignment because you report on whatever is happening at that day or time. And if you didn't come in with a story pitch, you were assigned something. So it was always our goal every day to have some type of an enterprise story to pitch. Never wanted to be stuck as breaking news girl or something like that. The Emmy Award was for live spot news. I was covering a fire at a high-rise senior apartment complex in downtown St. Louis. To me, it was always really thrilling to be live because you got to describe the scene, you got to talk to people about what was happening, and there's really nothing better in the moment. There were other awards and honors and things like that. Those really just kind of come with the territory. It's not something you think about. It's not why you work in the business. I always wanted to just simply report on stories that would impact people, whether they changed the law or maybe just got somebody to think about something new and different that day.
Explain how you got there. What was your journey? Did you always want to be a reporter?
Well, our family always watched the 5:30 p.m. nightly news, and then we always watched local television news at 6. And it was really second nature for me to know what was going on in the world and in my community because of that. I remember being in 8th grade watching a newscast one night and actually said out loud, I want to do that. From there, I just found every possible way to gain experience, being in front of people or speaking to them. So in high school, I participated in forensics. I sang in the show choir and I took additional creative writing classes. I would even memorize news stories and practice rehearsing in front of my bedroom mirror. I was kind of a news nerd and hooked on that. Once I went off to college, I focused on my journalism major at the University of St. Thomas in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I sought out internships my entire 4 years of college. I produced a promotional video for my high school. I put pancake makeup on guests for a public affairs current events program on the local PBS station. I interned in the St. Paul newsroom of CARE NBC TV 11, where I was actually fortunate enough to write stories that made air. If you were an intern in the Minneapolis bureau, you could run tapes to the airport. So much more experience that way. And then I spent a weekend reporting during the summer at the ABC affiliate, near my hometown of Eau Claire, Wisconsin. I graduated in December, which was a half semester early because I took some summer courses. So actually it took me 3.5 years to get out of school. So I sent my resume tapes out, and within a month, I had a job as a reporter. So I got ahead of those May graduates.
Nice.
Which was kind of great for me.
Yeah, strategic. So most people think being a TV reporter is glamorous, but I'm willing to bet there were a few situations you found yourself in where you were like, WTH.
On more than one occasion, for sure. When you start out in smaller TV news markets, you have to do everything. You're videotaping your own story. You're setting up the tripod. You have to write that story. You have to edit that story. And then you go out and you do it again every day. It's incredibly hot sometimes. It's frigid. It's raining. I mean, there's no hiding from the elements. And really, there's no resting on your laurels, because as soon as you're finished for the day and everyone's slapping you on the back for a great reporter live shot, you're already thinking about what you have to work on next. That news is in constant motion, even more so now because of the internet and social media. I started in this business in January 1989, and I, quote unquote, retired from TV in August of 2005. We didn't have to compete with the internet as much as newsrooms do today. It was sort of just really coming on when I left. One of the things I realized over the years is never wear good shoes, because you never knew if maybe you'd be covering a case in federal court or maybe chasing a local sheriff's deputy through a field where they'd be burning huge piles of marijuana.
Yeah.
A particularly rough time, and this is a bit serious, is covering murder trials. Because sometimes you can spend a couple of weeks on a case. And I remember one in particular where a man who hired one of his employees to kill his wife for the insurance money. And,
oh, my goodness.
Yeah, their children, a boy and a girl. I kept thinking about them. They lost their mom, and now their dad, convicted by a jury, was going to spend the rest of his life in prison. So after these lengthy experiences, you need a break. And I remember asking for it just to have that. I spent a lot of time in highway ditches. I would cover a lot of weather-related news. On one occasion, my photographer and I got drenched by a fast-moving thunderstorm. So I basically had 30 minutes to get to a satellite truck, write my story for editing, and then be ready for the live shot. I looked at myself, and my hair was just awful. So I just pulled it back in a ponytail, and I looked like a wet rat. And some days it's not what you can do other than expect people who are watching that night to write in or call in and say,
right.
What's your hair?
So was that part of why you left? Was it just too much of a grind? Because you did leave in 2005 and now you're into consulting. Help me understand that transition.
Yeah, well, most of it was that I decided to kind of march with the home parade for a while. My husband and my infant son, who was 6 months old, and we left St. Louis and moved to Milwaukee. We wanted to be close to our family. So it was a personal decision. I dabbled in freelance writing and considered TV, but wanted the convenience of a day job. And, working 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or later, as often happens when you're a reporter, was something I was happy to give up. I noticed in the last few months after I had my son and I went back to work that there wasn't that same fire in my belly. And so I thought, it's time to let that go. And so new slate here in Milwaukee, I met Chad Ritterbush of TRG Marketing and came on board to help with media and marketing here in 2011. And what's great is I'm able to develop relationships with trade media and truly understand what they need and want for a story, because I know what that's like. I respect deadlines because I worked for years under that kind of pressure. And with the push toward content marketing so much, especially in the last decade, my journalism background is really a perfect match. I'll write blogs, e-newsletters, websites, and social media content, articles, you name it. And I'm constantly drawing upon my experience in news, especially as an interviewer and storyteller. And as I've mentioned to you, I love to ask questions. It's much easier for me to draft a set of those than it is for me to answer them.
Yeah.
But I spent so many years maintaining objectivity that when I turned to the PR and media relations side of marketing, it was an adjustment for me. I mean, the first time I had to fashion a news quote for someone, I panicked because I kept thinking, what if my college journalism professor knew that I was doing this? I'd get an F. I'm misquoting someone. But I eventually relaxed. That's all.
Well, I did it. I attended my first CSIA executive conference. And do you know what the best part about it was? It was meeting and hearing from CSIA members and learning how the association impacts real lives. I've been working with associations for my whole career, and I can honestly say I have never experienced a group of business professionals so willing to share, collaborate, and support one another. That's why I'm so excited to be able to tell you about the newest CSIA membership offer. From now until the 2020 Executive Conference in May in New Orleans, companies that join CSIA will receive an automatic 40% discount off the conference registration fee. Look, this isn't about boosting attendance. It's about making sure CSIA members can fully experience the most valuable benefit the association has to offer, the CSIA Executive Conference. Ready to learn more? Visit www.controlsys.org/CSIA combo. See you in the Big Easy. Explain how that translates into your history with CSIA.
Yeah, so with me being at TRG Marketing, the firm was hired because of our experience with trade associations and because we worked with other professional services firms, some of them engineering firms. And having that kind of background helps us understand the mindset of CSIA members. We work to promote CSIA as an organization and their members who are basically trying to build their businesses, right? Now, I've been with CSIA for 9 years, but the firm's relationship goes back to maybe a year or so earlier. And that launched with an in-depth research project focused on what end users want and helping members drive end user awareness. As we've determined, end users often don't know what they don't know. And some are fairly sophisticated. They're focused on how to scope out their projects, or at least they have figured out who they need to call and when. But many, and we're talking a lot of people here, might not pursue a project more than once or twice in their career. So those are the people that we felt should also be a focus of our end user efforts. So we kind of came up with 3 areas that we wanted to kind of get that started. And one is just basically discovery. Help them become better acquainted with control system integration and the notion that there are specialists who belong to CSIA who do this work. And that means that end users out there don't have to figure this out on their own or through a friend of a friend. And the next step really is then making that connection with CSIA. The members in this organization have resources that can help end users basically assess their needs. And then finally, you need to follow through. You can find a set of integrators who can carry them through a project from start to finish. And that's exactly what the CSI Exchange is all about.
So you mentioned that, we both mentioned that you help CSA members with media opportunities. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, that's really the main focus of my work for CSA. I target the vertical publications, the ones that end users are reading and following online in print. There are 9 top industries for CSIA members, food and beverage being number 1, of course, but we also work with water and wastewater and oil and gas and packaging handling and aerospace and life sciences and more. We look at the publications with the most opportunities for system integrators, and not only those that have a really great audience, circulation or online audience, but the people that are looking for content to learn more, plant managers, directors of operation. They're the people who are reading these publications in print and online. What I do is develop relationships with these editors and writers, and some of them are looking for maybe just 1 or 2 articles a year, or there are those in need of more regular, steady content. Sometimes we get requests that come in each month. There's such a variety of opportunities for CSA members, and some may involve writing 1,500 words for an article with a 3 to 6 month lead time, or it can be more low-hanging fruit, where maybe you answer 5 to 10 questions by email for an editor who just needs your expertise for an article. And those especially, the question Q&A, are incredibly popular among our members because it doesn't require that major time commitment to draft a story. And the really great thing about being invested in this for some 9 years now is that we have really solid relationships with our editors. Many come back to us with trade media opportunities and encourage us to ask CSA members, hey, what are you working on right now? And that could spark an original or an enterprise article.
So you mentioned it can be a lot of work for a company to put together content, but why should CSA members, or any company for that matter, care about getting published?
Well, number one, editors want to hear from system integrators. They are really eager to have them share their expertise because end users are the ones who are reading their publications, looking for solutions and services to curb those challenges. When you're quoted in an article, maybe you've sent in question and answer content. And for most of these placements for CSIA, we're able to obtain a member that gets mentioned several times in the story. That's free advertisement for your member company and really a benefit of CSIA membership. And once you're published, it's not once and done. I mean, your content can be repurposed in many ways. You can share it in your company's social media, post it on your company website, and include it in the next company e-newsletter. An article could spark a webinar that you could host. I mean, it really are many opportunities. And CSIA also posts these member-contributed articles to the association's social media and in their e-newsletter. So we want as many people as possible to know the good work the system integrators are doing. And another great benefit of this is you're building credibility with articles and trade media. We've been helping CSA members do this for years. And I always like to say is, what's stopping you from jumping in? Join us.
So it's no secret that many engineers are either skeptical about marketing, or even if they're open to the idea, they really just are at a complete loss as to how to go about it. What's your advice for them?
Look to CSIA. There's a marketing toolbox on the CSI Connected community. It's being updated right now, but you'll still find what's there of value and a good place to start. And don't forget, reach out to Leanne Munoz of CSA and me. Leanne handles horizontal media. And as I mentioned, I cover the vertical media opportunities, the ones for the end users. So watch that open forum for postings on both kinds of media opportunities. And if you have a question or concern, reach out. We're here for you to talk things through. Our emails are listed on the open forum posts. We love to hear when a company's involved in a project, even if it's just starting out or it's near the finish line. We'll tell you what we need to kind of pique the interest of our editors. And we always want to know what CSI members are doing as a company, perhaps something unique or a challenge, solution, results opportunity that ended in success. It doesn't matter. You really can't ask us a bad question. To me, they don't exist. So talk to us. We're here to help you.
I can already hear this little voice in my head saying, but Julie, we don't have the time. We don't have the money. We don't have the staff to be able to do all this. What advice do you have?
Prioritizing is key because no one can do everything, right? Not even big companies can manage that. If you aren't promoting your business, it won't be successful long term, and that includes companies that build a business with referrals. It's acceptable, but should not be the only way to promote and grow your company. Referrals are complemented by other activities, and always make sure that you have a solid website that tells visitors who you are, what you do, and who you serve. Nowadays, digital presence is crucial. Social media, digital ads, online reviews, and e-newsletters. And it's what we do for our clients. Again, building credibility with articles and trade media, which is what we do for CSIA on that vertical end. Members should also have prospecting in their programs. You should be sending materials, whether a direct mail piece or an e-news blast or letter, to those who are customers and potential customers of your business. Just keep that in mind. Set that priority list and work from there.
At a more granular level, I've been hearing a lot of chatter on social media about this thing called personal brand. I'm using air quotes here. Yeah. What is it, and why should anyone care?
Well, there's a lot of talk these days about personal brand. You're right. And it really comes down to marketers kind of terming what they call the experience good. Think about this. CSI members offer service, and that doesn't exist until after the customer's hired them, right? Potential customers aren't able to envision what that member does until they've actually experienced it. So as a result, members need to take care with how they present themselves as a company and as employees inside their business. For example, people in your company should take care with how they dress, how they present themselves, how they speak, and how they go to market. And how the individuals do things must be consistent with how the company does things. Personal brand is kind of like that elephant in the room. Company leaders know they should be focused on it, but chasing new shiny objects may not be top of mind because your schedule is so overbooked, right? So consider those communication power tools that can elevate your company's personal brand to a higher level, such as social media presence, an inviting and navigable website. Personal brand, to me, is not about an individual effort, but a team effort. Everybody has to work together.
225,000. That's how many page views the Industrial Automation Exchange pulled in last year. What's more, 75% of them were unique. What does that mean for you? Simple. If you are a system integrator or supplier who is not maximizing your presence on the exchange, you are missing out on this traffic and the collective authority of this digital marketing powerhouse. The good news? The exchange offers upgrades, packages, and display opportunities to ensure your brand is top of mind during your customers' complicated, research-based buying journey. To learn more about the packages and advertising opportunities, contact me, Lisa Richter, at industrydir@controlsys.org. Let's face it, it's a digital world out there, and you need to make sure your company doesn't get left behind. Let the exchange go to work for you. So you've been working as you mentioned, you've been working in the industry for a number of years. What's changed and what do you see trending?
Well, it's really amazing how the pace of change has quickened. And as we get older, it seems to go faster, right?
It does.
In years past, businesses didn't have as much to consider when it came to marketing. But in 2020, there are so many options. And it can be a bit mind-boggling for company leaders to digest and really determine what's best for their business. Well, what's trending? Here are a couple of areas to consider. Look at how companies like Amazon and Uber have changed what customers expect from business. Everybody's forced to raise their game, whether it's a better website or improved customer service. I think about the company that's now offering to fuel up your car anytime, anywhere, thanks to an app. You don't even have to be there. It's only available in a couple of states now, but boy, that's going to change because more people are going to want that convenience.
I would love that. It's like magic. It's magic gas.
Magic gas. Well, then there's the internet. And need we say more? There's so much data out there to be consumed and help us make good decisions. And with that, who needs to contact a seller anymore? Today's buyers are purchasing what they want before they even talk to a business, thanks to research and reviews to guide them. And it's why companies need to stay on top of their Google reviews and what people are saying about them on social media.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I mean, I see different stats, but almost all of them say it's anywhere from 7 to 12 touch points before a potential customer is going to even pick up a phone call. So it's right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, and marketing really has to do more. We all need to be that Swiss Army knife. There's nothing one-dimensional here anymore. In marketing, what used to be, hey, let's create some awareness and interest building into this. It's now we've got to use websites and other communication tools to help sell that product or service, whatever it is that you have. But there are a couple of things that I think they've kind of been there with marketing, but they've just been tweaked a little bit. So I ask, what's tried and true? That means analyzing your business inside and out. We've heard that phrase, ready, fire, aim, right? It doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Planning ahead is still important. Keep track of and pay attention to those results that matter. And you still need to know your customer. And nowadays, it's easier than ever to do that because of research. There's so much information out there, as we said. And the people who know their customers best will be those who come out on top. And then what about marketing costs? In my estimation, budgets are still cool. Don't allow what you did in the past to dictate what you need for the future. Conduct a brand audit, right? That can keep you from wasting money and it'll help you improve your business opportunities.
What would you say is the most challenging part of your job?
The first 5 or 10 minutes of the day when I have to prioritize which task must come first. All of us have so much to do every day. And I love my Outlook calendar, but sometimes it does give me fits. So I often have a written list to check off things as I complete assignments. And it feels, hey, I've accomplished something today. I learned that actually at a multitasking workshop. It's okay to do that. And as a matter of fact, this podcast is on my list, so I will check that off as soon as we're finished.
Sometimes I put things on my list just so I can check them off. It's so satisfying. I know. All right. So what's the best part of your job?
I just love meeting people. I love talking to people about how we can help them. My favorite experiences with CSIA is when members will reach out and say they're so pleased with the recent placement. We got 10 sales leads from that. Or, my company president just was so impressed. It means I'm doing something right. Others may come to us with an idea for an article. And when that happens, I immediately want to jump into action. Okay, what editor, what publication would be the best fit for this? Or what's on this editorial calendar? What's the deadline that we have to meet? I'm the type of person who always wants to keep things moving. And I think that's from years of being a news reporter. Those hard deadlines and urgency from those days never left me. I want to make things happen. So,
what makes you optimistic about the future of the automation industry?
Well, simply consider all of the industrial technologies, robotics, the cloud, industrial Internet of Things, and artificial intelligence. They're all driving growth along with new instrumentation and control products and services, right? And what I love about CSA is they're not waiting for something to happen. They want to make things happen. And digital transformation, which is something they've been doing for years, and their role as system integrators is the focus of this year's executive conference coming up in a few months. And then there's a task force on digital transformation that's been planning, considering, and executing ideas for some time now. What makes me excited is that one of the big opportunities right now is how to help customers of CSI members understand that this data, this information is out there and it's relevant and useful. I know some system integrators have said that if they can position themselves as the experts on the data with very clear insight and analysis that's beneficial to the customer, then they can show that customer the value of what they can deliver. It sounds great, but it still requires kind of a careful approach. One system integrator once told me in conversation that he's like an automation life coach to his end users, and he's been doing it for years. He started doing it when he first launched his business. His approach is that, customers have to take those baby steps because it all takes time when you're adjusting to something new and adjusting to changes. It's exciting, though.
So if you could go back in time and have a cocktail with your younger self, what advice would you give her?
I would say never give up on curiosity, because you will be a lifelong learner. And isn't that great that you can learn something new every day? While working with system integrators and CSIA seemed a little frightening at first because of what I didn't know. What's process? What's discrete? But the time was going to be such a terrific opportunity then to expand my interests and my knowledge. And when you watch a brewing automation system go online for the first time, it's incredibly impressive. It will give you a new respect, I would say, for how much control systems and integration are the backbone of U.S. and world industries. And then on a lighter note, I would say start practicing yoga in your 20s and never quit, no matter what.
That's solid advice right there. Well, that's it for today's episode of Talking Industrial Automation. If you're interested in learning more about media opportunities, you can contact Julie at
TRG-Marketing.com.
CSA members can learn about new media opportunities via the open forum at www.controlsys.org. Thanks for listening, and thank you, Julie, for joining me today.
Thanks so much, Lisa. I absolutely enjoyed the opportunity. Appreciate you having me.
If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also help others find us by leaving a 5-star review and sharing your favorite episodes with colleagues. Thanks for listening to the Talking Industrial Automation podcast. Thanks also to bensound.com and Wistia for the music bumpers. Until next time.